Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Quick Hits for this week. Now, last sports weekend was really good. We had some great UFL action. Been steadily watching the UFL this year. Some WNBA preseason getting me ready for another WNBA season that I will be covering this year. Looking forward to doing that. Also, the Miami Grand Prix, which has been something that I'm getting into. Formula One racing is something I'm getting into. I became a fan of Max Verstappen. I really like him. He came up short in the Miami Grand Prix, coming in second place. But hey, you can't win them all. But Max, he's close to doing so. And also, too, the boxing was great. Please tell me you saw the close-up of Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford at the end of the match, getting them ready for the fall, where Bud Crawford is going to go after that super middleweight championship that Canelo Alvarez has. Looking forward to that fight in the fall. But also, too, from that weekend, we had some game sevens that happened in the NHL and in the NBA. And then as this week rolled through, we said goodbye to the first round, and welcome into the second round, which has just been as crazy as the first round in the NHL and in the NBA. We are going to talk about that in this episode, but we're also going to talk about the relationship that a certain college football coach has been having. My thoughts on that one. Hoping I don't have to spend too long on that, talking about that. There's more stuff we got to talk about. And then we had a trade in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gonna talk about that trade here on this stacked episode of Quick Hits for this week. Let's go. Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's strictly. Welcome to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. If you're new to the show, what's good? I'm Shannon. I'm a fan of sport, and Quick Hits is dropping weekly to discuss headlines in the field of sports. So if that's what you came for, go ahead and give this video a like. Also get into the comments. I love to talk sports, and I'll talk sports with anybody. So come into those comments and we can talk about it here. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel and explore our plethora of podcasts that we have in the field of TV and movies and sports. But if you're one of my quick hitting brothers and sisters, welcome back. Let's start the show. So we'll go ahead and begin the show with what it seems like everybody is talking about. And that's the relationship between Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Everybody's been talking about it, how weird the relationship is, the crazy posts on social media, how she interrupted him during his interview with Inside Edition, talking about his book. But it led into other conversations about how they met. She ends up interrupting the meeting. She just seems like she is just taking control of everything that man is doing and in control of his life. Now, here on Quick Hits, one thing that I'm doing in my analysis of the situation is I'm getting the whole thing of a relationship out of my thoughts now. I'm not here to talk about the man's relationship. It makes no difference to me what a man does with his time and what's behind his door. I'm not worried about that. I'm more into the sports side of this, and that's where it's going to stay. Now, I don't want to stay on this longer than I have to because I want to talk about other things. I want to talk about the playoffs. I want to talk about the trade that went down in the NFL. But I'll go ahead and sum it up to this take right here. Now, those who know me know that I'm a fan of the UNC Tar Heels. Coach Belichick is the newly named head coach for the Tar Heels football team. All of this stuff that is going on with him and his girlfriend, with all the things that they're doing, how she is interrupting his interviews, all the things that she's doing. This relationship as a whole is taking away from the football aspect of Bill Belichick's career. It's taken away from the football aspect of the North Carolina Tar Heels. And it's making the school and the football program look like a joke. And to me, as a fan, that doesn't look good. All the other schools are watching in the ACC and in the nation that saw this as a big move with Bill Belichick coming on as the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels. This program is looking to go into a different trajectory with him at the helm, bringing in guys from the NFL to help him out, bringing in NFL minds into the North Carolina coaching staff and into the front office as the NCAA is changing under NIL. You don't think these teams are taking notice of this? You don't think that these teams are seeing what a joke that you're becoming in such a storied career that you have? I understand that you may be enjoying your life. You may be enjoying time with this girl. I get it. But at the end of the day, you're a Hall of Fame coach who knows football and was bought in to do one thing and one thing only: to coach football for the Tar Heels. All this stuff you're doing, this silliness, and all this stuff that you're doing with this young girl is making you look like a joke, a shadow of your former self. I understand that Bill Belichick was a guy that had to be in constant control as a GM and as a coach. And maybe him relinquishing that control to someone else, especially someone else that he finds favor in, is rewarding and it feels good. But at the end of the day, it's making you look silly. It's making you look like you're invested in other things besides coaching football. I understand the fact that you have to have a work-life balance. Why do you think me and Chris DeLuca and Jason Colenso and Michael Davis and Malvin Offer Mike and Sean Lucas and Carson Williams and Aaron Schneider, why do you think all of us are podcasters? Why do you think all of us are making content? Because this is release therapy to us. It's not a job. It could be a job later on down the road. But this is release therapy because we love sports. We're fans of different sports. We're fans of different teams. Sport is something that we love. Sport is something that we can go to and leave our lives behind. We can leave the stress of life behind, the obligation of life, and enjoy the sport that we love for 2, 3, 4 hours. That's what we do. So I understand the work-life balance that you may crave and may want now that you're no longer under the scrutiny of owners in the NFL or having a boss above you that is breathing down your neck. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you're a Hall of Fame coach with a Hall of Fame career and a lot to lose. If you're fully invested in this Carolina team, I would love to see it. Because as a fan, I don't see it. And that's hard to say to a guy who's won Super Bowls and has been an incredible coach in the NFL. Bill, it's hard for me to say, but I wouldn't want you around if you're not going to take this seriously. I believe that you're going to get back into the football mode once the season begins, but when is that going to be? When are you going to do it? What are your thoughts of the future of the North Carolina Tar Heels, considering the fact that you have a limited time with this squad? You might have a limited time with your age. and especially with where your priorities are. So my take on this is, Bill, you got to tighten up. The season's just around the corner. Let's do this for these Tar Heels. Let's make this happen. Let's have a good season. Hopefully, this is the last that we'll see of this. I seriously doubt it, especially with the season and its off season right now. But when the season begins, I want to see Coach. I want to see Coach Belichick handle biz in North Carolina. This is your first quick hit for this week. So, of course, we're going to keep this subject going while we're fresh on it. It's Friday. My old school quick hitting brothers and sisters who have watched the show from day one know it. They know what's coming. With this being a Friday show, you know what Friday is for. Friday is for football. That's right. So we had a big trade happen in the NFL this week. The Dallas Cowboys will receive former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens in a trade where they gave up a 3rd and 5th round pick for the upcoming NFL drafts from the 2026 and 2027 draft. I believe that was the terms. The Pittsburgh Steelers getting the picks. George Pickens going to the Dallas Cowboys to play this upcoming season. Now, looking at this trade, we got to look at both sides here. What do the Dallas Cowboys gain? What do the Pittsburgh Steelers gain? What do these teams lose? What are these teams going up against with this move? So we'll go ahead and look at the Dallas Cowboys right now if we had that Venn diagram yet again to see what is good for the Dallas Cowboys, what's good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and where do they meet in the middle. So let's look at these Dallas Cowboys here. Number one, main topic here is that the Dallas Cowboys get a second receiver, another weapon for Dak Prescott. Him coming off of injury, he's going to need another weapon in that passing game. He's already got CeeDee Lamb, who has been a proven receiver, who has been a proven playmaker. He's done very, very well for himself in Big D. And now with George Pickens coming over as the second receiver, he can slide in just nicely into this offense. The Dallas Cowboys may seem like they didn't make any moves in free agency. We always talk bad about the Dallas Cowboys not making moves in free agency, but this move is a very pivotal move for them in their offense. The passing game will benefit from this move. So this is good for Dallas. Now, one of the things also, too, you look at receivers, you look at the ego. George Pickens, known for that humongous ego, always having something to say, a lot on his mind. He lets it out. He's an emotional guy. Him coming over to Dallas, will that be something that will be maintained on this Dallas squad? Dallas has got a new coach. You've got this bright personality, and you've got this very, very strong, opinionated receiver in George Pickens for a new coaching staff. Will this work? Can they make this work? Jerry Jones has his work cut out for him here with a player like George Pickens, who has shown no bones about letting himself be known, of course, to a coach like Mike Tomlin, who has had success here in the NFL. He has been able to make something out of nothing. Last year, he done that, weaseling into the playoffs, squeezing into the playoffs there, making his way into the playoffs with a offense that many people didn't think could get it done. The Pittsburgh Steelers have done that and then some, never having a losing season as a head coach. Mike Tomlin has done that. So now Dallas looks like they might have a little bit of I would say, not say a problem, but I would say more like an obstacle when it comes down to George Pickens and what he's done. So now let's look at these Pittsburgh Steelers. Now looking at these Steelers, the Steelers have still not figured out who their starting quarterback is going to be. They didn't get a big-time draft pick at the quarterback position or a big-time acquisition free agency-wise for a quarterback. Many people are still under the notion that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But with the move that sent George Pickens over to the Dallas Cowboys, would Aaron Rodgers even want to go? Honestly, my opinions on a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, taking a 40-year-old quarterback on a bad leg, not a good move. But a one-year deal for a squad like Pittsburgh that does need a quarterback, what have you got to lose? But with that trade there, will that deter Aaron Rodgers from going to Pittsburgh? Would that deter him from doing so? Also, too, with this move, does that mean that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a backup plan? Possibly. With DK Metcalf being a big sign at the receiver's position, and also, too, that it's leaked out that he and Aaron Rodgers have practiced together in this offseason, done a little throwing, a little bit of route running in the offseason. Could this be something that means that Aaron Rodgers could be coming over? Are they making room for a contract for Aaron Rodgers? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact is, the Pittsburgh Steelers did give away a weapon. Somebody in their passing game that could be big and could be vital and could be someone who could lure a quarterback to Pittsburgh. We don't know. But this move, to me, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys won. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys got a very, very strong, solid receiver that will benefit their passing game. I think Pittsburgh might be thinking about rebuild, might be thinking about the future after this season. Every time we've thought that about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've been able to find a way into the playoffs. They've been able to find a way to win. So doubting the Steel City might not be the best idea. But with a move like this, it's very, very possible the balance of power could go back to Dallas. And Dallas might be looking to battle for that second, third spot in the NFC East. But you know, these games, they're not played on paper. They're played out on the field. So this move will be an interesting move. Looking forward to seeing how this goes into fruition. We'll see which fan base is going to be angry and which fan base is going to be saying thank you. We will find that out as we move closer and closer to the opening day of the NFL, which is coming at you this fall. So let's go ahead. Second quick hit, already done. Last but definitely not least, we get to talk about these playoffs in the NBA and in the NHL that have been nothing short of amazing. It all started last weekend as we had a great sports weekend in all the other sports, but we've also had great sports weekends in the NBA and in the NHL. Let's go ahead and get started with the NHL, and then I'll go into the NBA. On Saturday, I watched my childhood team lose to the Dallas Stars 4-2. It broke my heart in two ways because, of course, it's my hometown. It's my favorite team, not the hometown team. I'm sorry. I'll get to the hometown team later on my hometown. But my childhood team, the Colorado Avalanche, were beaten 4-2. That old mean old Mikko Rantanen, who the Colorado Avalanche did their best to stay away from by trading him to the Carolina Hurricanes. He wasn't going to stay in Raleigh. So the Hurricanes trade him to the Dallas Stars, who were in the Pacific Division of the Colorado Avalanche. And then, unfortunately, the Avalanche see them in the first round play a very, very good 7-game series, only for Mikko Rantanen to get the hat trick and win it, putting away his old team, moving on to the next round. Then, of course, Sunday, May the 4th, the St. Louis Blues, who have been the team that was very, very hot coming into the playoffs, snapping the last playoff spot in the Western Conference, going up against the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets, taking them to 7 games, but would not go. It took 2 more periods of hockey to play in a sudden death 2 overtime game where the St. Louis Blues fall short to the Winnipeg Jets 4-3. The Jets move on. I went with the Dallas Stars, although I took Colorado in that series. I went with Dallas as the tide turned on the last episode of Quick Hits, as you saw last week. Then I stayed with the St. Louis Blues, although it looked very dismal for the St. Louis Blues. I stayed with that squad. And no, I didn't go with the Blues. I'm sorry. I went with the Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. I stayed with my team, the Winnipeg Jets, that I said would win it. And the Jets come out with the win, but it wasn't what we thought it would be. And then we go into the second round. The second round of hockey has been incredible already. The Florida Panthers, who I slept on, go up against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who I feel like could win this Eastern Conference. Florida, the defending champions. The Toronto Maple Leafs been knocking. They're up 2-0 in this series so far. They will be playing again today, as a matter of fact, this Friday coming up here. They'll be playing to see who will go up or who will get there. Will Florida get their first win? Will Toronto get the 3-0? I don't see them sweeping the defending champions. I don't see that happening. Florida has played some very, very strong defensive hockey, but Toronto has had a great offensive output. I tell you, it's tough going against the Maple Leafs. It's tough going against the defending champions. But I'm going to go with the Leafs on this one. I think the Leafs are going to do it, not just because of the 2-0, not because of the 2-0 lead that they have. Florida's playing in a deficit, but if there is a squad that knows about coming back, it is the Florida Panthers. They did it last year in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Edmonton Oilers. They came back, they won, and they won Lord Stanley's Cup. It's hard to play the defending champions and not take them as serious as the Toronto Maple Leafs are, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are built very, very strong, especially on the offensive end. I think the Leafs win it in 6 games. I think Florida will come back tied up, but I think that Toronto is going to win it in 6 games. They'll move on. And now the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets. This is going to be very, very interesting as the Dallas Stars with Mikko Rantanen. Once again, Mikko Rantanen has been on a tear. Another hat trick to start off the series against the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets. And you got to remember, this is a Pacific Division matchup here with Dallas and the Winnipeg Jets. So to me, I'm going to take the Stars on this one. I think that the Winnipeg Jets might not have the offense that the Dallas Stars have, especially with a resurgence of Mikko Rantanen. The goaltending has been very, very strong. Jake Ottinger has played very, very well in net. Connor Hellebuyck has had some very, very tough games, of course, with the St. Louis Blues. These Winnipeg Jets are going to really have to take advantage of the forecheck with Dallas, but Dallas is very, very tough when it comes down to that back check, that defense. They got to keep Winnipeg out of the attack zone. That's one of the things that Winnipeg likes to do. They're a fast squad, but Dallas is a very high-powered offense. I really think that Dallas and Winnipeg will probably go 6 games, and I think Dallas will win it in 6. Give me the Stars on this one for the Western Conference. And then, of course, now I get to the home team, the Carolina Hurricanes, playing the Washington Capitals in this series. And let me tell you, they played very, very well. The overtime game, Carolina winning it in overtime against the Washington Capitals, who have been the talk of the league, of course, with Ali Ovechkin getting Wayne Gretzky's record. But this Washington Capitals team is a very, very good team. But Carolina is a squad that has a lot of fight in them. They went in overtime with the Washington Capitals, and they were able to win it. They're up on the series 1-0. I think Carolina-Washington goes 7 games, and I think the Hurricanes are finally going to get over the hump and get to that finals in the Eastern Conference. I think it'll be them and the Leafs in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, once again, this is a squad that has been there before. Edmonton has been there before. They were there last year. Were not able to get that cup. The Vegas Golden Knights have won a cup before. They've got a very, very good squad, very strong defensive squad that no one really talks about. Vegas isn't really getting a lot of love. But Edmonton, I think Edmonton is going to get this series. And the reason for it is because Connor McDavid is playing his best hockey right now. He's had the injury-riddled season. I think that he is the X factor in this series. Give me the Edmonton Oilers. They're up 1-0 as we speak in this series. I think it's going 7 games. Give me the Edmonton Oilers in this series, as we will see more than likely. The way I look at it, the way the bracket is for me, it'll be Carolina versus Toronto, and it will be the Edmonton Oilers versus the Dallas Stars. I think the league would like to see Dallas and Edmonton go at it with that high-powered offense. I think that they would like to see that. But we will definitely see as the NHL's playoffs have been deciphered by your Quick Hits host, Podcast Smitty. On to the NBA. Now, one thing that we've talked about this year is how the NBA was losing viewership in the regular season. But guess what? The playoffs come to town in the NBA, and let me tell you, the whole place shuts down. The NBA playoffs have been incredible. The first round has been great. The second round is shaping up to be even better. So let's go ahead and get back to last week, as we had some game 7s that had to be decided. These round 1s had to be decided as the Los Angeles Clippers, who I felt like was going to advance up against the Denver Nuggets, and the Clippers, once again, they folded to this Denver Nuggets squad, 120-101. Very, very competitive series. I feel like it would go 7 games. I had Denver first, but then I switched to the Clips. Bad move, bad idea. My man Jason Colenso said, PCS, he calls me PCS, short for Podcast Smitty. He said, PCS, don't do it. Don't go against Denver. Don't go against the Joker. Don't go against Nikola Jokic. And I did. And I paid for it. Nikola Jokic showing me why he's the greatest right now in the world, greatest basketball player in the world, as the Denver Nuggets get the win and they move on. And then, of course, the Golden State Warriors against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, fall victim to the babyface assassin and the Golden State Warriors, beating them 103-89. Decisive win in Game 7 as they move on. And they finally get round 1 behind them. And we go into round 2 of the NBA. And man, round 2, it has been incredible. Indiana, the Pacers, against the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Y'all, the Indiana Pacers are up 2-0 on the best team in the Eastern Conference. They should have never said that stuff about Tyrese Halliburton. He's been playing like a man possessed. 2-0 lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. They're going back to Indiana for the next 2 games. Y'all, can Indiana do it? The Pacers playing Cleveland. Once again, Cleveland without Darius Garland. That's been very, very big for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No Darius Garland. Indiana going out there fast, playing fast basketball. And that's what's doing it for them. Can Indiana win this series? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think so. I think Cleveland's going to get over the hump. I think they're going 7 games. I think Cleveland will go 7. And they will beat the Indiana Pacers. And they will move forward. And y'all, even more crazy stuff going on here. The New York Knicks. Jason Colenso's New York Knicks Stunning the Boston Celtics right now, 2-0 lead. 2-0. And it has been close quarters. Overtime in the first game. Win by 1 in the second game. They stole these games from the Boston Celtics. Stole them. Now, the Celtics have been a squad that many people look at and say, oh, Boston's going to give them 1 or 2. But Boston can't give them 2. Right now, down 0-2 and be considered one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't think so. The 1 and 2 seeds are in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. They're in trouble. Do I think Boston will come back from this? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the New York Knicks are due. I think they're due. Considering the fact that this squad has played with tremendous teamwork, Josh Hart, the heart and soul of that squad. I know Jalen Brunson Burner has been getting it done. But Josh Hart is one of those guys they forget about. He had 23 in the game. Team high, 23 points in this game. Boston is in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I think Cleveland will get over the hump. I don't think Boston will. Porzingis out. The depth and the height of the New York Knicks is going to be what's going to give Boston trouble. So give me the New York Knicks. No, I'm not doing it for Jason Colenso. I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it for me. Because that Boston Celtics team has some holes in it. So we're going to see. And on to the Western Conference, as we've got some developments in the Western Conference. The Denver Nuggets. Whoa. The Denver Nuggets won the first game. Nikola Jokic doing Nikola Jokic things. 42 in that game. 42 and 22. Nikola Jokic being the man out there and stunning OKC, even with the double bigs, stunning the Thunder. And also, in that Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Golden State getting that first win, striking blood first. But let me tell you, there was a price to pay. That's Steph Curry getting hurt, and he could be out for a week. I don't see Minnesota losing this series. I don't see Golden State winning it without Steph Curry. He's got him that far. I don't see him winning without Steph Curry. Now, Michael Davis, I hope you're paying attention because I told you. Trevor Everett told you. You pay Steph Curry. You pay that man or you pay that man. And this is why. Because Minnesota right now, I believe, will get Golden State. I believe they'll beat them. Because that offense, that very, very strong offense that is led by Steph Curry, I don't think they can do it. Minnesota's too strong. And Edwards looks like he might have a resurgence. And I see Minnesota going to the Western Conference Finals. I see them going. See them going right back. And then Denver and OKC. This young upstart Oklahoma City Thunder played very, very great basketball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe, will get MVP. I believe that he will. But silly me win against Nikola Jokic. And I shouldn't have last series. I like OKC. But I think this Denver Nuggets squad is going to see Minnesota in this Western Conference Finals. One more year, OKC, and you'll get it right, I believe. But you got to hand it over to the Denver Nuggets, who I think will win it in another 7-game series to see the Minnesota Timberwolves. Guys, that is the show. That's it. We are done. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy these sports. Enjoy the wrestling because Backlash is coming on Saturday. Enjoy the wrestling. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the UFL. Enjoy the baseball. Chris DeLuca Watch the Dugout Debrief. I don't shout out that man a lot, and I should. Sorry about that, Duke. You're still the man. I've been watching some baseball in the creep when I'm not watching the playoffs. So everybody, make sure you enjoy the sports. Enjoy your families. Talk to your people. Call your people. See how they're doing. See how they're doing. Make sure that they're all right. Enjoy your sports. Enjoy your lives. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Thank you for watching. Support Boom Broadcasting. Continue being fans of sport. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.
Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's strictly